Hello and welcome. My name is Seth Bauer. I'm the individual giving manager for Irish Repertory Theater, and it is my distinct honor and pleasure to invite Bill Irwin, an Irish Rep company member. And we're thrilled to have him as part of our new Meet the Makers series here on Irish Rep Online. Bill is an actor, a director, a writer, and a clown. And he has performed the works of Samuel Beckett extensively, including in 2018 when Irish Repertory Theater had the distinct honor of presenting his piece On Beckett, exploring the works of Samuel Beckett. We're thrilled to have you. Welcome, Bill Irwin.
Thank you so much, Seth. I salute the Irish Rep. I miss the Irish Rep. I will be there when it reopens.
For those of us who may be a little bit less familiar with the playwright, could you just tell us a little bit about Samuel Beckett, why he's important, why you're attracted to his work?
I love the language and also hate the language. I mean, the writing calls to me, it pushes me away at the same time. It's found a place inside of me, which I both like and don't like. It also, like I say, it repels me. It's in some ways, especially some of it is quintessentially mid-20th century modernist writing in a way that feels kind of quaint and fusty. But then there are stretches of it that still, and I've worried as an actor that maybe I'll lose this if I talk about it too much, but I still get chills down my spine during certain stretches of his language. Beckett, among many things you can say about him, the word story is forever threading through his writings, especially his prose. What is the power of story? He seems to dismiss it, then he seems to embrace it. There's one bit from text number 1, Texts for Nothing. And if you don't mind, I'll put this bowler hat on to take a look.
Terrific.
Just a stretch, text number 1, where the word story comes up, and right after this little stretch comes one of the most memorable lines in Beckett's writing for me. All ears, always, for the old stories, as when my father took me on his knee and read to me the one about Joe Bream, or Breen. Son of a lighthouse keeper, evening after evening, all the long winter through, a tale. It was a tale for children. It all happened on a rock in the storm. The mother was dead, and the gulls came beating against the light. Joe jumped into the sea. That's all I remember. A knife between his teeth. It did what was to be done and came back again. That's all I remember this evening. It ended happily. It began unhappily, and it ended happily every evening. It was a comedy for children. Right after that come these lines. Yes, I was my father, and I was my son. Now, that mention of father and son, like I say, I'm always afraid I'm going to lose the special connection to it, but it always remains. I'm a father. My father died a few years ago at 100 years old. We're caught in the middle, those of us who have fathers and sons, metaphorically or actually, and that line just puts a chill down my back every time I say it.
It strikes me just listening to this bit, and I've heard you do this bit before and read it myself.
Yes, you have.
No, I love it, but it really strikes me as that he writes so intimately and so specifically in some of these things, where even his characters and he himself can't quite. They're struggling for remembering something. And you did this piece when in our first Irish Rep Online, you quoted, was it a proverb or it was a saying? Do you recall?
Yes. Dee is thinking aloud, and he's saying, hope deferred maketh thee something sick. Who said that? He is trying to remember, and he's trying to get a response, a conversational response from his friend, his partner, Estragon. The bit of scripture Vladimir seems to be after there is Proverbs 13:12. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick. That's what he's looking for. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick. And then the rest of the proverb is, but when the desire comes, it is a tree of life.
Tell us a little bit about On Beckett, because not everyone has gotten a chance to see it. We hope that we will get a chance to see it again soon. But can you tell us a little bit about what you were trying to do and what you're making with it? How did it come to be?
It is both a labor of love and a coping mechanism. As I first sat down with Charlotte and Kieran and said, yeah, I'm going to confess to you, I've spoken this language a lot. It's in my head. Partly I got to do something with it. And partly I just need to figure out a way, an outlet, because it is haunting me. The language is very, very haunting. The first line of text number 1, Text for Nothing, goes like this: suddenly, no, at last, I couldn't anymore. I couldn't go on. There's a launch. So, I mean, interesting thing, you live inside this language and you sometimes think, well, I've done everything you can do with that bit of language. And then in the shower one day you realize, whoa, you could approach those 8 words a different way. Here's a little stretch from The Unnameable. I'll never stir, I'll never know peace. Neither will they, but with this difference that they don't want it. They say they don't want it. They say, I don't want it either. Don't want peace. Perhaps they're right. How could I want it? What is it? They say I suffer. Oh, perhaps they're right. And that I'd feel better if I did this, said that, if my body stirred, if my head understood, if they went silent and departed. Perhaps they're right. How would I know about these things? How would I understand what they are talking about? I'll never stir, never speak. They'll never go silent, never depart. They'll never catch me. Never stop trying. That's that. The further you ingest this language and put it inside you, the more you can play with it, the more you have available to you to share exploration with an audience. And I get wait to get back to the exploration of it, partly because just as he gets all this stuff going, what does he mention? Show business. Because he says the next little part is, that's that, I'm listening. Well, I prefer that. I must say, I prefer that. That what? Oh, you know. Who you? Well, I suppose the audience. Whoa.
Oh, the audience.
Wow. So there's an audience. It's a public show. I think he's talking about how the head works. And then where do we go? We go to a public show, an audience, seats, spectators, performer.
Yeah.
Can't get away from show business, can't get away from Samuel Beckett. Because sometimes the language is what you would call heightened.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe that's where it leaves me behind a little bit. But at the same time, the language, especially the writings in Texts for Nothing, which are fairly obscure bits of prose that he wrote in 1950. And they are written, at least certain stretches of them, in a very colloquial voice. Where he says things like, well, if you can, this is what the old vaudeville joke is, I'll just do this a cappella, meaning with my hat on. A certain stretch where he says, I say to the body, up with you now. And I can feel it struggling like an old hack foundered in the street, struggling no more, struggling again till it gives up. I say to the head, leave it alone, stay quiet. It stops breathing. Then pants on worse than ever. I should turn away from it all, away from the body, away from the head. Let them work it out between them. Let them cease. No, I can't. It's I would have to cease. Yes. We seem to be more than one. Gathered together for life. It's a colloquial voice. And it is, I think, really catchy and invites you in. At the same time, it seems to be maybe a portrait of how consciousness can work. It's talking about an argument within the cerebrum and between the cerebrum and the body. And yeah, it's really active. There's something for you to play there.
Can you talk a little bit about how Beckett connects to vaudeville?
All I know is, you read the biographies, the family went to the variety theater a lot. He was really knowledgeable about variety acts. And you feel it in the dialogue and the language. There's a vaudevillian rhythm and
the back and forths.
The backs and forths, yeah. And he seems to invoke sometimes baggy pants. The characters in Waiting for Godot, let's call it Godot for the moment, wear baggy pants. In fact, there's a baggy pants gag at the very end of the play. The guy takes the rope and his pants fall down because they've been holding up these baggy pants. Right. He seems to have loved silent comedy or been knowledgeable about it.
So what was his thing with the bowler hats?
Oh, God knows. He had a thing with hats in general.
Yeah.
Very specific sometimes about character hats and so forth. He's very particular in Waiting for Godot, or Waiting for Godot. They all four wear bowlers. That's a footnote down at the bottom of a page. He knows how he wants them to look.
Right. So it's just regular guy hats, not vaudeville hats.
Good question. I mean, there may have been a vaudeville feeling, but also that hat is like a skull. You know, it's like a skull. It's protective. You take it off, you're vulnerable, and it's the way men were as he grew up. So I just think it's all those things operating.
So you keep saying Godot and Godot. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I know, like, you and your production with Nathan Lane had an experience with this.
Well, most Americans, for whatever reason, think of it as Waiting for Godot.
Yeah.
And when you say something different, it sounds really foreign. And that's the way I knew the play, and that's the way I did the play, Waiting for Godot. Then when I did the play, and I was blessed to do it with Nathan Lane, John Goodman, John Glover, and we have a British director, Anthony Page, and we decided to pronounce it Godot for a lot of reasons. But when we made that decision, and then we rehearsed it, and then we went out in front of an audience, a New York audience for the first time, it didn't dawn on us, because we'd sort of forgotten about it. We put it into our bodies. It's Waiting for Godot. It didn't dawn on us how that was going to strike an audience. So, and it didn't dawn on me that I was the actor who was going to say this name first. So there I am in my Vladimir character, and I say, and Estragon says, let's go. I say, we can't. He said, why not? I said, we're waiting for Godot. And there was like a murmur through the audience. And you could hear the pages of programs. And we lost the audience for a moment. And I remember, I don't think I've made this up, but now it's agreed upon between Nathan and I, that Nathan looked over and went, it was just, how are we going to play this? Because we have to say this for the rest of the evening.
Right. Do we switch back, or do we switch
back? We kept with it, and eventually every evening, the audience accepted it. But even well into the run, that first time, let's go. We can't. Why not? We're waiting for Godot.
Yeah. I don't know why we're so attached to that. I mean, I get the rhythm of that we're waiting for Godot, but then I've heard, people wax on that Godot is God and we're waiting for God, and
which is one of the reasons I think that argues for the American way of saying it, because Brits and Irish people just almost always say Godot, but there are arguments for Godot, but there are arguments for Godot too, because God just feels a little too literal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah. Do you want to share? We were talking about a bit of text from Waiting for Godot. Did you want to share that, or do you?
No, there are gorgeous stretches of language, gorgeous speeches. There's one in the second act that Vladimir has. It's a little tricky because somebody just take a moment to set it up. Pazzo and Lucky have just been on stage, and Pazzo, it's so rich. You get caught describing, but Pazzo has a famous speech where he says, will you not have done tormenting me with your accursed time? Then he goes on in that speech, Pazzo does, to saying, they give birth astride of a grave. The light gleams an instant, then it's night once more. On! And he and Lucky go on. That's their exit. And that's the last you see of them in the play. And he has just said those words, they give birth astride of a grave. And then Estragon goes to sleep, and Vladimir says, was I sleeping while the others suffered? Am I sleeping now? Tomorrow when I wake, or think I do, what shall I say of today? That with my friend Estragon at this place until the fall of night, I waited for Godot. That Pazzo passed with his carrier and spoke to us probably, but in all that, what truth will there be? He'll know nothing, he points at Estragon. He'll know nothing. He'll tell me about the blows he received, and I'll give him a carrot. Then, the way I interpret this as an actor, Vladimir remembers what Pazzo has just said, maybe looks after where he has exited, and he echoes those words. He says, astride of a grave and a difficult birth. Down in the hole, lingeringly, the gravedigger puts on the forceps. Now that is a really, maybe almost overly poetic, it's an incredible stretch of language, but the play, that's only one part of the play where this one character has an image of the gravedigger digging the grave, being down there, reaching up. The woman is astride the grave, giving birth. You reach up with the forceps, you pull him right down into the grave. But it's a play with other things. The tree does get leaves in the second act. There is some kind of spring. And there is this trying to remember hope, something about hope. So it's a rich and mysterious play. I hope I get to do it again, and I hope I get to do it better than the previous times.
So we should raise a glass to Mr. Beckett's birthday on Monday?
On Monday.
Okay.
Here's to him.
All right, here's to him. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Seth. Thanks, IRT forever.